so far for FAV.
Not bad.
Not too shabby at all. That's our head-to-head. Let's take a look at which map we're going to be playing on. Put up on the screen very quickly for everybody. The match is pretty much ready here. Cafe Dostoyevsky is in Fnatic, banning the last one from Clubhouse there. Makes sense from your point of view, Gio?
Absolutely. Fnatic have a 0% win rate on Clubhouse right now. They lost to FAV, Xavier, and Giants. They like to ban it quite a bit. It's not a map they feel super comfortable on. And the last time they played FAV, they also played on Clubhouse. So want a bit of a change. Maybe don't feel quite as comfortable on it. Cafe, they haven't played it a ton recently, but it does get banned against them a lot, which, you know, leads you to believe that it's a pretty good map for them.
Yeah, last time Fnatic played this, they 7-2'd Norengo. It was a huge game for Tex. He finished the last round with, I'm pretty sure it was an ace. It was just like massive. And that's the only time they played it since like way back in before APAC North League was a thing and these guys are playing in ANZ Pro League. FAV on the flip side, mixed results overall. Some good games, some bad games, but I feel like this flips towards Fnatic.
All right, let's see what everybody thinks about this game. Of course, you can go and check it out online on Twitter, twitter.com/R6 Esports APAC. You'll see it right below for your votes. 72% for Fnatic, 28% for FAV Gaming. Consistency is key, and you want to be consistent if you're going to make it into the top 6. FAV want to make it back in there. Fnatic, of course, want to be there for this stage. It's been a while since we've seen them performing so highly as you've had in the past couple of playdays. But what do we all think about this game before we push it forward? Let's bring up the entire 5% roster here and a quick chat about our predictions before we toss it to game. And everybody's on Fnatic. Okay, you know what? Stein, nice. Fnatic.
Yes.
Why?
Well, they've been on the rise again. It's like really simple, right? They have been on the rise again. We predicted them to be in the top 3 when the stage 1 started. They weren't there. Had to fix some issues. Seems like they have fixed them as they started out the season with a 7-0. I'm believing in them. I'm thinking they are indeed onto that road to top 3 right now.
Fluke?
I just wanted to do what everybody else did. I wanted to go with the pack, you know. I mean, they're a team of expectation. It gets thrown around a lot in Siege, and obviously we saw them not live up to it in the first couple of phases and before. And here they've, you know, due to the circumstance, and here they've come in a lot harder. They have something to reprove in a way, and we know what they're capable of. And this is a game where obviously they didn't take it against this team before. This is one where it was expected to, and you've got to live up to that.
Let's see if peer pressure affects them as much as it did to you, Fluke. Let's toss it over to you. Fnatic playing against FAV Gaming. Enjoy.
Wow, we jump in to Cafe, no less. We head over to Dostoyevsky. It's a nice treat to see, especially as Oregon was actually quite an early ban from the map pool.
It's good to see Oregon gone for one of these matches. I wasn't looking forward to be casting, you know, Oregon only for this entire week again. So at least we're going to have that one going for us. And we are going to Cafe, a map that, well, often is played with the needed aggression at some points. You know, we just open up a quick window in the piano, try to get some spawn peaks out. Maybe toss out a Valkyrie camp here and there. Just to aid these runouts, aid these C4s. We've seen it in multiple regions, being played in different styles. Now we will see how FAV and Fnatic will be forming theirs.
I always enjoy watching Cafe. I think ever since it kind of came in, it lent itself well to good defensive teams, but when you have these hyper-aggressive teams, when you have teams that can very quickly see a window and take it, APAC is on attack, and this is a good place for that to be demonstrated. Well, the first ban removed is a Monty. That kind of heralds the idea of they don't want to have that slow and steady play, and they don't want to have that Bastion at the front breach of anything that comes a little bit close to it. You look towards the Thatcher ban, you look towards that ground floor as well, turning into a little bit of a fortress depending on the extensions that are made via Bakery or towards the long corridor itself. There's a lot of possibility here for something more stoic from the defenders.
See the mirror band coming out, and then the last one will be banned out by Fnatic. It will be a clash. Of course, the Echo still out of band. Will not be used. And thus we see a bit of a different kind of game style coming out. Not having to worry about these yokais coming out because of that. IQ, of course, getting picked less and less as well. Only really needed to counter off the Valkyrie if chems get tossed into these pesky little positions there are hard to clear out.
No shields, in the words of Edna from The Incredibles, and I guess it kind of lives up to the expectation here of how these teams like to play, and kind of what they want to remove from each other is just that bit of mobile solidity that otherwise causes some problems, well, when you're looking at either being counter-aggressive or aggressive against your opponent. So pick from an Amaru to an Ashe is a bit of a bait and switch, but so's the change there to the main man Maestro.
Fnatic was picked out there, and it's like, don't you dare to pick Ying. It's like, you know, we will be ready. Do not pick it. We will be standing by for that. So indeed, no Ying coming out. Operator we've seen quite some play on in APAC, quite some executes, especially in Oregon, rely on the back of those Candelas popping off. But Candelas going boo, as one wise man once said.
One wise man, was it just a meme that you saw?
Oh, it could be a meme. I've no clue, Flo. I'm a 22-year-old boomer, so.
A 22-year-old boomer. Yeah, you do. You give off the impression that you're older than you actually are. I think it's the glasses and the love of stats, probably. Nerd. Fnatic, they're starting their defense on the top floor, as we see quite consistently, setting themselves up on the pixel angle with Wamai. It's going to be a part and a portion that you hold for as long as possible. Usually you see a lot of teams adapt to this with the Clash. They'll throw themselves up in that top corner and utilize that, as I said before, this kind of mobile bout of information to swing on, have a look round, and see what else is going on. It forces them to play it a little bit more passively. They'll have the shield, they'll dig it in, probably, and then they'll go from there and try and stop what is the default take here. Drop on towards the new bout, get control of the piano in the Christmas side, and then push across from then on.
Hatches being opened up always gives us the walk close to firework, you can almost say, as the hatches blow up into the atmosphere, heading straight to the ISS.
We're littering space in Siege.
Yeah, every single round.
Iana is fuming.
She's Dutch. I feel that pain. So.
And you love space.
The connection.
And well, they
do I love space?
Potentially, they love trying to take the space from the man. As I said, it's going to start with this push against Lusty on this corner of Pixel, who's just going to pull away. They're not going to give their life. They have the ability to rotate background. This window was smashed open, and well, luckily nobody's currently home. It allows them to be free. They've taken a lot of utility, and they can keep themselves alive, because those gadgets, the longer they're up, the more powerful they are, the more powerful it all becomes. Bullet holes. There's something that is consistently powerful too, but he can't quite find the right one, so he's just going to leave the work to be done on the opposite side. This has allowed FAV some control, some idea, and some body to swing into Cigar, as we see Type 1 with the diffuser start to make the moves across. Here is the follow-up, as I said before. The drone is clearing out the idea of Pixel, and we're going to see Shin get control of the piano side too. Step 1, step 2, done. Now it's step 3, the trickier bit, push onto the site itself.
And that is indeed going to be tricky with the 5 bodies of Fnatic all still alive. We have some of the freezer together. That is with these smoke canisters that Tex just tossed out one of. Will be counted off by some smokes.
Setting up a breaching sequence.
Of course, having the opportunity to deny a plan to calm down. Shield will be taken care of by the Selma. Just making sure no one is behind that B-bomb. So just a simple drone could have given you that information. But of course, it's a Goyo shield, so you want to get rid of it before you go for the execute. Because that fire could be, well, biting you back. But in the meantime, we have 2 kills coming in from Fnatic. And they're just sitting tight. 30 seconds left. They know FAV has to come to them. They know they have all the angles they would like to have in their control. And these last 20 seconds possibly going to count down without too much issue for Fnatic.
The body on the opposite side on the Heaven balcony could be one that causes some problems. They're trying to breach in close, and they need to do it sooner rather than later, because in the meantime, Mentalist gets one, and Jaeger gets one more. Fnatic lock off the first round as the breath comes and pushes against them. They decide to just blow back and push them anywhere away from the site.
Such a beautiful swing there on that window, well informed by his teammates. And thus the first round going over to Fnatic. After we said APAC might be a big attack side, you know, we see it time and time again coming through that match is actually decided on the attack rather than the defense. They're starting off strong here. First round straight away in their backpacks. And let's see if they can pack up some more before they are going on the trip to the cafe themselves.
Yeah, you obviously want to try and lock down as much of this as possible. We do see a lot of teams sometimes stumble on their attacks on Cafe. It can be a quick and explosive map, but it doesn't really allow the same control of space that a lot of the modern meta maps do. You look at the kind of rebirth of things like Oregon, you look at obviously Vittler is a big heavy one where there's always space between you and the site. Here, sure, you get the little slivers of it around the sides and the corridors, but it's not much. It doesn't amount to much, and it amounts to arguably a lot of holding windows, holding angles, and hoping that people start to drift in, which when you're also competing against the clock, as we see and seen, sometimes teams stumble. But top heavy is how they're going to start this hold on the mid floor as they get everything reinforced. They have Lucy to try and apply some pressure onto the approach, but so far Lusty hasn't has to fall under any, really. But Tex also sitting on those triple zeros.
Not the worst, considering you just won the round, you didn't die, you survived, and because of that, you put pressure. It's how simple it is. Having a 0-0 means you're still putting pressure, even though you're not hitting anything, you're not killing anybody. As long as you're there, it's just someone that they will have to worry about, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that is something people do not always realize.
That's it as well. When I was talking about the Wamai falling off the Pixel previously, it's because it's your cooking time. You're taking that out of the attackers, and you're forcing them to have to play these very little battles of attrition where you get barely any land, and in a map where there's, well, not a huge amount of land to really go through, how you balance that, how you facilitate that amount of pressure becomes vital. Now, they've dug themselves into the same pixel corner as they wait for the same kind of approach, but Tex is actually getting kind of hyper-aggressive here and thinks better of it as they pull away with the frag grenade, only taking a shoulder of damage.
Not too much. He's going to be able to sustain the top floor presence to get a bit lusty and Stigs. Of course, they'll have the hatch open up, so they don't have to worry about it too much. There's enough potential to fall back as soon as the pressure of FAV really turns on. But as I said, I believe Shin is going to be rotating around, hoping to get on these windows on the eastern side, just to try and deny Cocktail ever so slightly. Maybe even the white stairs. That is, of course, an opportunity to cut down any rotate that comes from it.
They're waiting desperately and patiently for something to happen on this window, but everybody knows where everybody is. The flash grenades are what's going to pop, and they want to try and get this white stair set locked off. Still no bodies, though, I say, as 2 fall, one on either side. Perfectly timed, but Lusty tries to get one more onto the board, puts themselves into this 4 versus 3 situation. FAV, they're putting pressure from above now, and they have plenty of time to do it, but they still have a bit of a fight going on towards the side of Train. Actually look like they might be rotating around towards the red staircase, get a little bit more control, try and find a bit more even in the body count before they go for a full execute, as Chloroform is going to steadily make the way with the diffuser a little bit. No, not. I was going to say a little bit closer, but then seem to double back on themselves as if, in a way, FAV aren't 100% on how they want to try and take this separate control.
You need to get some top floor control going. You're a man down, make that 2, and that also means you need to get some vertical control, try and put some pressure, force them out of their positions. What does that happen? It's only up to Chloroform now. He can open up that door, but it's only going to create another angle for someone to move through. If he moves a bit too far to the left, he will be taken out by Mag, who's playing on the new balcony here. Gets a spot, but not the kill quite yet, but they know exactly where he will be right now. The Banshee will go off. That will slow him down and enable Mag to go for that vertical shot. And that lands Fnatic their second round here on Cafe. Again, without too much pressure coming down from FAV, because as soon as the pressure was on, they just take out 2 of their players. They fall back, and they just wait. They wait, because they need to come to them. And that is exactly the Fnatic we would want to see.
Do you believe that FAV overextended a little? Because they had this situation where, sure, it was a 4 versus 3, but they had the vertical of the reading room site. Sure, they didn't have the flat control yet, but you could see that they were almost making their way towards it. We saw the sledge head towards that hell entrance. We saw them head towards the door and then double backed on themselves because maybe a call came out on the other side. But do you think if they had attributed themselves more to the reading site, it could have been a different story?
It's difficult to tell, because I'm a real big fan of the attackers starting up top floor, closing at piano, cigar, and then, you know, of course, the cocktail and the cocktail lounge. and take that control like that. Then you open up vertically, you take them out of their key positions right behind the bookshelf, for example. You force them in these awkward positions and you can go for a plant. However, if you lose 2 people before you even manage to reach the top floor yourself, it's not really going too well for you. And yes, maybe then you need to hit the site directly, because there's no way you're going to be able to win the gunfights from above in that matter of time, because there's just simply not enough time left.
Sorry, I'm just dying.
It's okay, don't worry, don't die on me though. It's
Luckily,
like, your second day of the job.
Luckily, we're heading down to the kitchen where I can get a drink and refresh myself before we go into the next round. Fnatic 2-0 up with 2 pretty solid holds. I think it's fair to say when we're looking at the comparison of their play and we're looking at excuse me, some of these playdays.
Don't die.
I'm trying my best. Where things haven't quite hit the mark, but they've still been able to pull points. It's gone the distance sometimes with them. This is them kind of making a statement to me. And it's one of the things I cited before in the predictions is they have to have these statement games. They have to reassert and redeclare themselves as the top dogs of the region because, well, unfortunately, due to other circumstances, things didn't go that way before.
It definitely didn't go that way. They ended up in the bottom half of the table on the 7th place, just missing out on the major right here as Lusty, I believe, has a jump out ready. Shin seems to be waiting, goes on the drone right now. That's a dangerous thing to do if one of the players is ready to jump out at any second. Might not actually be a jump out, I believe it's still 1 times punched. So he does get spotted out now. We're not going to be going and follow up with that plan he had originally.
No, but I think it was a good move there from the droning, but it otherwise could have gone a very different way if there was a slight bit of intel that befell them on the window. I guess they were waiting for the late jump and the late movement, but look at this flood of drones and look at that. First time the frag has comfortably gone into the favour of FAV this game so far as they take care of Mentalist on the roam. They have this stair control and they're going to steadily try and push their way further and further down as we see the blue bodies on the opposite side ready to try and pinch and pincer anyone that might still be playing above. We have seen Fnatic lose control of the verticality before, but then retake it. We saw the rotation in the previous round as Mag pushed all the way back up to the top floor to put pressure down from Newbout. Whether they try it again or not, it's going to be a much tougher situation here as everything starts to fall apart. FAV with the body control and making sure it counts.
No more C4s available on the likes of Fnatic, meaning they will have to deal with just gunfire while trying to rotate back up. Of course, you still have the ability to slow them down with the Banshees. You still have those evil eyes able to, well, deny a plan to come through if they're ignorant and trying to not deal with that Maestro. But as you said, it's going to be a way more difficult retake here because you're 1 man down right now. You're not having the same option to try and go for trades time and time again. And it forces Fnatic to dig themselves in. Make sure that they survive and stall as much time as possible. As humanely possible, because with these 20 seconds left, the plant soon needs to come down or a full-on execute. And if you have 4 members on site, you're going to be able to at least stop and try that diffuser from going down, as right here kills are coming through. Lusty picks up 1, but FAV starts off better as they are now in a 4-2 situation. Except the sticks to try and stop it now as he's the last man standing, but will be failing to do so. The diffuser goes down, 45 seconds left on the clock. Vertical angles will be everywhere now. This round is considered lost.
Yeah, it's a 4 versus 1. They've buried the diffuser in the default site of sync, and, well, all the hopes are starting to sink through too, as Stiggs has already lost most of the time on the diffuser, and unfortunately lost most of their health too. Afro opened the round with a kill and locks it off with the last, as FAV find 1 back on the 3rd attempt.
That's exactly what I meant. The verticals are there. There is no way that such a round will be lost in a 1v4. Especially not with the amount of time that was left. There was no way you could have gone for all 3 kills or all 4 kills and get that defuse down as well. And thus, FAV fighting back. Fnatic is not going to be putting another 7-0 on the board here. As the Goyo will be coming in last second instead of the Warden. Does that mean we will see a 6-pick to Warden?
I mean, they're flirting with this idea and this balance back against a potential Ying game, but, you know, it's not really coming through. It looks like they're heading back to the Maestro again. There is no concern and no play of that from the guns of FAV either way. You're looking at this roster now from FAV and you're thinking, okay, this is where things started to fall apart before. The opener against the corner that Lusty was holding. Yeah, it pushed him off, but it didn't quite get the kill. Maybe if they'd had someone on the opposite side, maybe if they'd had someone in a position to pinch, as we've seen them play pretty brilliantly in the past 2 rounds at moments, they might have been a different story. They might have been able to lead in with a man count that they were so successfully flaunting on their round win just then.
Right. Fnatic back in the top floor. The piano will be, well, a main point of attack again, or defense rather, for the likes of the Fnatic. Let's see the one my play there, of course, has those magnets available to him to continuously, well, improve the defenses of that piano shield. Just keep on tossing them out, making sure that that Ash charge will not be coming through. Like what Lusty's doing here, putting it a bit further back. That is going to be allowing the ADSs to actually catch off any projectiles that might be tossed through, and allows it to survive just a little bit longer.
Now then, as they have themselves still buried in, the drones are fervently working their way across as more debris flies into the sky. Chloroform gets the next. There it goes. A well-made hammer and a well-made rubber bit of wood. 2 minutes on the board. It's plenty of time, and I think for me I'm going to kind of keep a close eye on this because it's also been one of those things that has ended up costing them previously. Yeah, sure, it was a 20-second execute that went perfectly the previous round, and in the words of Dez actually before, he says, if there's 4 people left alive on both teams and it comes down to the collapsed attackers versus defenders, he usually favors attackers because they know where the defenders are. They should be able to capitalize and close down. It's not always the case. It's not always the story. This is an attacker-favored region, as we've all seen statistically, and I think some of that comes from this lead in aggression. And there it almost came from dropping Lusty.
I like the fact that he actually fell back, though. I'm not sure if he caught it, but the air jump was shot above his door, so just to fall back, not having to deal with that air jab. But it also does mean, however, you're no longer going to be able to freely rotate back in. There it is. And that means piano control now, probably for the remainder of the round, under control of FAV. Of course, still people present in that fridge, in the freezer. Mentalists from below on the Oryx have the ability to jump back up, but the entry frag goes to FAV again, as Type 1 is going to be able to launch, well, the attack onto stakes.
Here comes the pressure, and there goes another member of Fnatic falling back. Not out and not dead yet, though, with obviously the man advantage still falling in the favor of FAV. They're doing much better than they were last time, and here's the ability of being able to apply this pressure to the far side. The punch holes aren't quite offering the rewards they could just yet, but it's a game of patience, waiting, like Attenborough with a camera. What wildlife can they see before they do the unspeakable and shoot the wildlife in the face? Attenborough would never do that, though. Let's be real, let's be honest, and well, let's be a bit concerned. 30 seconds now, and the first almost falls as Type 1 drifted a little bit too wide. The diffuser is in their hand, but no longer, as they're dropped by the pickup from another punch hole. There's the second spray towards anyone that gets close from New Balk, but it's actually picked up by Mag on the swing on the far side. The bodies are back in the favor of Fnatic now, and the one body that's above the drop down might have to move sooner rather than later. Skylight is still present and still watching it, allows Shin to push up and get aggro and get one. There's the trade, there's the drop, there's a 2 versus 1 versus 1, but can't quite find the last man. Fnatic. I said watch the timer, and the timer came true.
Really like the fact that FAV tried to keep that sledge up for as long as he possibly could. Just wait. Maybe we can still get the plan down. Maybe we can still recover it. Only when it turned into a 1v on the actual side, he jumped down to support and make it that 2v3 situation. You could have wondered what would have happened if he jumped down earlier, what would have happened if he was active in the gunfights earlier, but him being there is basically, well, a win the round free card as soon as that diffuser goes down. Unfortunately, the diffuser never went down, and that means Fnatic is currently leading still with 3-1 as they're going up to their secondary bomb site, which is going to be that reading room and dining.
Well, it almost came true for them. Almost came through for them, but that is the primary hold. It's the primary site for a lot of teams, and it's one where it becomes, even in situations where you have a slight leg up, a stumble and a bit of a trouble, and a higher wall than you thought you could actually mount. Here, though, this is, for me, a FAV that's grown a little bit. They might be in with a good chance of being able to apply some proper pressure onto this site that they weren't quite able to before. I cited the idea that maybe a call came quite late. as to where they could adapt and rotate to get the diffuser down. We saw 2 players on one side and 1 dislocated and separated on the other, and they decided to try and reattach the arm before they struck, and it unfortunately didn't quite work out. If they'd been able to pop a pocket of space on the opposite side, maybe they would have seen a different result. Who knows? Purely hypothetical in the world of Siege, and well, let's see if they can answer some of my questions on their second swing round the site.
Alright, second try indeed. Will this time FAV be successful? They managed to get the entry frag last time around, unfortunately not being able to follow it up. And does that seem like a very quick push? It might actually be a straight push into the side and into Cocktail, because the breach is ready. This might indicate it to a hot push. You see 3 people below at this door, able to run in straight into B. There we have it. Hot breach coming in. That is going to be Afro trying to go for kill, but he will fail to do so. Stigs able to pick up on that one. It's not being followed up below, I believe, though, as Mentalist is able to pick up 1. 2 actually on the side, so they did indeed go to the side. But number 2 stayed behind, and he's together with Shin now as the last 2 remaining members with 2 minutes left to play with.
Yeah, I mean, this is something where we're looking at the situation falling away from them. Unfortunately before, and, well, unfortunately again. Stigs gets another on the top floor and looks to try and find 1 more for the tally, pre-firing everything in the kitchen sink, but that's a different site. And unfortunately, they're not there, they're in pillars, and they're trying to rotate their way round through. Zulu in the middle of the room, and, well, through in minute 40. They had no time in the last round, and now they have too much time, if anything, for this to play. No entrance on the door that is peppered with bullets, and at least you'll be able to stop the camera. Maestro's trying his best to land these shots, but he's definitely put a lot of fear into Nomad.
It was a bit sad, you know, you see an extensive hold like this, you see the cancel barricades being placed, you see all the anchor holes being created, weird reinforcements, and then just a rush happens, and it completely falls apart. You're like, I wanted to see how this strategy worked, I wanted to see what they actually been able to come up with, but I guess all we're getting to see right now is number 2 trying to clutch this one out. A 3v1 with 60 seconds left, it's plenty of time to force 3 best of ones, as right now a Maestro Evil Eye will be starting to zap him from the dining room. It's going to be bringing him down below 75 HP as he rotates all the way back up to try and challenge these 2 players that are playing upstairs.
Well, minutes passed and not much else. Unfortunately, everybody's kind of set themselves in quite stoically. They know they don't have to throw it away, and, well, they seemed a bit misinformed about where number 2 was. He's behind Mag, and he's got the kill. And now he's low ammo as he swaps out and swaps down and goes for a rotate. We hear an air jab go off. We see them pick up and try to pick some momentum towards the diffuser. It's cold in the middle of the room. There's 2 bodies watching either side. They would have potentially, well, they definitely heard that if they didn't hear the barbed wire. And at this point, the only real choice is to try and stick it. Not going to take it. Instead, going to just play an aggressive game of chase.
We'll be able to get that kill down, and indeed they're trying to chase, but the time ran out. Fnatic played this beautifully, the Maestro running upstairs, and we saw the other one running all the way back to pillars. And after that, of course, when you manage to find 1 kill, the other one is way too far out for those last 5 seconds to try and get that last kill in. And that means Fnatic now leading 4-1 as they're going back to kitchen service. The only side they have lost so far today. They're going to see if they can do better. We're going to see FAV potentially picking up yet another round.
It's a good start for Fnatic, it's fair to say. 4-1, and they're looking at potentially doubling it down here on Kitchen and trying to actually make something of a site that very quickly fell through their fingers. One of the things we've cited and looked and talked about is the vertical here. And obviously, in terms of Fnatic, their movement around the map, which so far I think has been pretty stellar. When they've started to get a bit of control, they've been happy to keep the entire Dostoevsky fresh and keep themselves in positions that are otherwise hard to predict and expect. And I think against FAV, that's causing these slight runaround moments, where the players of FAV are looking to try and find the players of Fnatic, let alone end them and get the diffuser down. This was a story where we saw Fnatic maybe the most locked in we've seen their defense so far, and, well, the only defensive round that they lost. So what changes are they going to potentially bring in?
What changes can they bring? Is the question rather. Do not see a complete different operator lineup to come through. Some anchor holes to be created here in the freezer wall. We'll be there to potentially deny any drops to come through from the likes of VIP if a player will be playing inside that area. That's a very advantageous jump out here for Mentalist, but it was read perfectly. As Chloroform able to shut him down, put him to sleep. And that is Fnatic now 1 man down, and FAV starting off another round really well.
Yeah, it's kind of, you know, it's not a lucky break, more of a great read. They obviously had the beat on what was going to be attempted from there, and you got to wake up a little bit earlier to be caught out by a move like that. Mentalist, he went for something as a bold gambit on their last defense. You can never fault someone for throwing themselves out of a window with a bit of intel and hoping for the best, but unfortunately, with the MPX at that range, it's not the easiest fight. Lusty might be trying to repeat, but might not know about the body coming from behind there. A steady bit of aggression. Seems to be pushing from either side. Looks for an immediate response and finds it, but look at the two bodies coming heavy towards White Stairs as they look for revenge. Afro can't quite get there soon enough. And that's a bit of a big blow as they lose Hibana.
Second time in a row now he has been trying to pull off that play. Last time you droned him out. This time he managed to get a kill because there was no drone going up ahead. And if you actually did, you might have been able to cut him off. But he survived. That is the truth. And he brought it back to a 4-4 by dropping down at Hibana, which is going to be forcing Ace to use 2 Selmas on the actual hedge. Meaning he's only 1 left. Not ideal.
Yeah, it really limits what they can achieve here. And as you said before, it was the position they were slightly playing before that they were droned out on. And well, they got the opener, and it was actually Mentalist who ended up being killed the first time around White Stairs last time too. That's a lot of a bit of confusing dialogue for you there. Well, maybe they expected it to be Mentalist holding the stairs, and the catch on Malusi last time was just a little bit of a crossover. Either way, it's punished them now, and they're trying to make up for lost time and lost blood as they hammer every single angle they can over this hatch. They know that this is going to be a vital play, and it's going to be a little bit trickier than it was before. Taking care of the Banshee underneath, as cited and loved by calling it the proper name before. I'm only calling it because Jess pointed out that she likes to call it the Banshee now.
No, yeah. I mean, I do so too, but here we have it. The 2 drops coming through. Mag is waiting, Lusty is waiting. If one of them shows himself, they might be able to pick up the kills, but no, Taipon is actually the one that managed to pick up these kills, and this gives Lusty the opportunity to try and go for a flank, but still someone is left in the freezer. And it's up to sticks now in a 1-on-4 situation. He will fall yet again. And it's FAV to pick up their second round here on Cafe yet again. Oh, kitchen service and cooking. And that means that we have a 4-2 split, which is what we normally would be expecting to see on a map like Cafe.
Yeah.
But we barely anytime get.
That's it. I mean, you kind of look at how that was taken as well, both times by FAV, and it was so well measured. Like, all of the angles, all of the holds from above were perfect. Maybe highlighted by that final kill there was just a perfect angle. The cutaway had the door cover. They knew where the bodies were coming from, and they cleared that pocket of space that they could so confidently take. One of the things that I kind of asked for a little bit on the first time round reading, obviously the second time fell a little bit to bits sooner than it did, but they seem to be good at getting control of a little period of space. And I think if they can build on that and they can start making these small pocket takes and control of momentum, it could be such a big force for them on their attacks in what is a very good attacking region. Either way, let's see how their defense stacks up against Fnatic. Well, they've had a little bit hit and miss on some of these moments, but otherwise their round so far, pretty well played. That's a lot of shields.
All right, that's a lot of shields indeed. That's a whole lot of shields.
That's it.
Are they going to be putting up another one? No, they don't. Okay, yes,
Yeah,
actually. Okay, that's 4 shields.
4 shields on a lineup. No.
And a Jaeger and a Wamai. Yes, it's 4 shields.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just doing some counting. Were my eyes deceiving me? No, they weren't. There's the shieldman, holding himself down on White Stairs. It almost allows you a set of kind of like a pillion. It's like you're breaching onto the beach, and you have all these pillions. You have all these little defensible posts that you can hot behind, but some of them are explosive, so be a bit careful.
So you're going to make a D-Day reference here.
Okay, let's see how it goes.
Might be what it feels like, actually, for these players. Knowing you cannot just take out these shields, as there will be 3 ADSs and 5 magnets deployed as well. It's a lot of utility you will have to throw through. I'm not sure how many flashbangs they have. It's at least 3 on Lusty. Of course, you want to use the 2 breaching rounds to take out 3 more, so 9 in total. Should be, well, getting close to clearing it out. Use those 2 smoke canisters or the 2 concussions on Zofia, and you're going to be able to clear out every single bit of utility. And they have started it out. 2 of those magnets instantly taken out. 1 of the ADSs is well cooked for the half of it, and that shield type is very well protected.
It's, you know, it's almost like they've developed themselves a secondary line that they can slightly fall back to in the middle of what is historically the way you would normally fall back to that entirely eastern side. It turns into this, we'll fall from step 1 to step 2, and they've gone, hang on a second, what about step 1.5? Let's invent it, let's try it. Well, and let's open. With Afro getting one in the opener here underneath the hatch, they try to get in on the bar window, but unfortunately, well, he's there waiting and able to strike and leave them shaken and stirred. First off the board in Cigar, and no shields dropped as of yet, I believe.
Now, and the longer they wait, the more of the utility of the Wamai is, of course, going to be placed down as Mentalist gets a beautiful swing onto Afro. Most likely had a drone in position. Managed to get that kill down. Now has to be careful for this secondary shield to be used because the first one is indeed gone. Might have gone cooked up by a breaching round or an impact of Zofia. Just keep in mind, you just lost your Zofia as well. No more stones you can use to try and get that ADS for the secondary shield gone out of play. And you'll have to be very careful with the remaining utility.
Does make getting the diffuser in onto the default such a tough ask right now, and if we're going to cite the use of time, it was otherwise so well played by the defensive Fnatic before. Look at this. A canister pops off, they still have all the control that they need to and want to from the very start of the round, and Fnatic otherwise need to do something bold, brash and brazen to begin to even get a chance at getting this diffuser down. Mentalist being taken off first is definitely not the way they wanted to lead in, and followed by one more, with Lusty at least getting one before being traded out under the skylight. There is the end, and number 2. Wow, might start looking at renaming himself number 1 after that.
I mean, just look at all the utility they had. There was 2 Evil Eyes, there were 2 Ghost Shields, 2 normal shields, which is 6 pieces of utility you need to clear out with explosive weaponry. Now that means you need 2 impacts, 2 breaching rounds, and, well, basically a set of grenades. But after that, there's also 6 projectiles that will be caught by the ADS. There's 5 that will be caught by the magnets. And you're basically left without any utility afterwards. So you're not going to be able to clear out everything. You'll have to choose what is more important for your eventual take. And to make matters worse, there was also smoke on the board. Able to stall out for at least 30 seconds with those smoke canisters if they're chained up quickly. It's the Fnatic had no way to go in.
Yeah, I think
it's a trade-off.
It's the economy of the game right now, and the cited meta of being built around those shields. I don't think there's ever been a more obvious display than the round we've just seen, or at least not one that I've casted personally, because that was utility. That was a field of utility. It was, if we're looking at invading, you have the beaches covered by these pillions. You also have barbed wire, and oh, there's some technological cameras and maybe a couple of war crimes from the certain what's in the canister as they get thrown and stowed and stop you getting anywhere past any convention. And I think it just kind of shows how it can stump some attackers, because it means that their idea, their cost of what they have to spend becomes unknown, because they're not really sure when this ends.
Again, 11 projectiles that can be caught by the likes of FAV. However, this time, not the same amount of shields to be played, not the same amount of evil eyes to be played. No, we are getting 2 or 3 Banshees that you'll have to deal with. Of course, there's going to be some Valkyrie camps as well, and that means C4 play, as I see 3 potential operators that could use a C4. Oh no.
He's going for it.
He's going for it.
He wants to, but
too
early. Pop too early, and, well, makes the right to just kind of get up with a little bit of debris from the vents in his face. He's fine. He'll brush that off, and he'll start his approach. Afro, who's otherwise been pretty continually aggro, before tries another C4 loop over the top, but the second explodes. Mere feet from the encroaching Fnatic, and, well, they're able to survive drone, and that's 2 big bits of utility gone off the board. But that's just going to move slightly further back and away from the intense pressure she might be able to suffer under. The flashes pop out. She's going to sit here for as long as possible to make sure she also doesn't get caught from the rotation up those far stairs. But here comes Lusty, here comes Mag, there's the Drone Mentalist. It's down to the cover from Typon on the far side to stop them just swinging in this white corridor.
And this is where it might get problematic for the likes of FAV. They've used 2 of their pieces of utility that they have to stop the attack from coming in, which is the Nitros, of course, and they haven't found a single point of damage with it. Meaning that it is going to be way safer for Fnatic to move on that top floor now, and it's way safer for them to actually try to get through. And right now you see that the remaining pieces of utility, which are the Banshees, which do not only fulfill the slowing effect, but also give an information, fulfill an information kind of role, are being taken out by the Ashe. And that means a lot of the utility right now is being taken care of by Fnatic because of the early 2 wastes of the C4s.
Well, attention is now being played pretty heavily towards the possibility of clearing themselves this little docket of space. If I'm talking about how this could have been done by FAV before, it seems like Fnatic want to try and run that game. The pressure coming up the bottom of White stairs could be the make or break here as they steadily just open a little window of possibility here. Mag is droning ahead, and this is the moment, as I said, coming up from White could be the make or break, and it makes for now. Lusty gets the first, and you can see the instant swan in of Tex on the shoulder to try and put pressure on the second. Afro has the cover, and number 2 has it too. Mentalist and Sticks fall down. They're able to get the diffuser back up and dig themselves into a close corner where they might be able to put it just behind the desk, with Tex adding a little bit more solidity into the push here. Lusty took the moment and was able to strike here onto the bathroom. Gives away his position though, and that could be an important swing. They're not quite aware though. Pop from behind. Lusty, one more for the tally. Mag has to try and stick this, but he's not confident, not locked off. And Afro, with all the aggression he's had before, lives up to aggro and locks off FAV's 4.
That could have been a Fnatic round there, but due to the fact that there was no cover in trains, Matt got taken out with that diffuser. Fnatic losing out on that round, and that means we are finding ourselves in a 4-4 position right now. We are all drawn up, and it is going to be a sprint to the finish now. Whoever gets 3 rounds first is going to be the winner of this matchup. Of course, there is no draws, and that means if we end up on that 6-6 spot, we might be going to overtime. We will be going to overtime in that case to play 3 more rounds, so to see who will be able to take it. But we're not even close to that mark yet. There's still 4 more rounds to have to go through before we go to the 3-round overtime. And let's see whether or not FAV is going to be able to continue the current streak, as now they will be going down to the kitchen as well, which was the bomb site that Fnatic lost twice to FAV. So let's see if they're better at defending it compared to Fnatic.
I guess, yeah, this is the question now to Fnatic is, well, your defense on this kind of missed the mark twice in a row. 2 4v1 post-plant situations, that's not in anybody's practice book. Is your attack something you're more confident with? Because if it's not, well, what started as a good day at the office could turn into a little bit of a nightmare in Russia. FAV, though, they're a team that has otherwise been able to keep stepping up, and I think a lot of that comes down to this aggression. These having these moments where they're hard to control on their defense. You're seeing the swings fall into their favor. You're seeing them manipulate the many staircases that this map offers, and it's coming to moments like this where Fnatic are just finding parts of their hold cut off very quickly by one plucky player in the guns of FAV.
All right, 4-4. Fnatic should have already won that round, and now they will be finding themselves in the kitchen where they need to make some quick and swift work. Bakery quickly taken. Of course, there is that bandit. There is the lack of attacher, which makes it hard to actually open up, and it seems like they actually want to be taking care of the shield right behind it. The Zofia impact will be following up shortly. There we have it. That is going to be shield gone. That's going to be number 2 having to fall back as well.
Yeah, it puts them in a slightly trickier situation as the drones are going to work either side, but it's an important bit of utility and eyes to get out. A very early pop of the canister there to stop any immediacy in the follow-up and the push, but Mentalist is working on a step 2 of burning his way through here. Bandit thought twice about getting in too close with that and wants to keep himself alive with the C4 possibility of looping it over if they are just going to dig themselves in behind the heavy metal in the middle of the room. Well, That C4, 2 wasted early last round. It's going to be important here. Talk of movement, though. Number 2 struck behind his own smoke to push up there and get the opener against Sophia, and that is a big blow because it turns what was their ground in the hands of Fnatic to just worry now. Number 2 doesn't have to swing on to the little addendum room there. He's already done enough to make it something that's, well, you got to be worried about it now.
And this is the issue here for Fnatic. They're all attacking from the western side. There is no more depth in it, no top row control, no push from the east. Everybody will be coming in from the west side, from that bakery, and they will be relying on this wall to be opened up. Soon, of course, with the skeleton key, Tex will be doing that, but there's still that one player around Brett that they are worried about, and as soon as you start opening this up, you might be able to get a shot from the SMG, and the grenade will be dealing a lot of damage towards number 2, but not enough to actually get that kill down. Not cooked quite enough in this kitchen yet.
Now he's crept his way around to a new location. They didn't see him move because they couldn't quite be in a situation to lock him off. If I'm going to look at a way that happened, it could have been the push from the smoke canisters. The second frag grenade doesn't quite get him either. This man is full of shrapnel, but he's also full of a dream, and the dream is to try and dig his way through this kitchen and put some more Fnatic bodies down. Unfortunately, it's cut a bit short as a pair is picked off by the guns of Fnatic on this bakery side. Less than 20 seconds to go, but it's not the first time we've seen an execute happen this low and this little left on this very site. Lusty's crept a little bit closer. They do not have the confidence, and look at the rotation Shin is making above. If they can get this locked down here, if they can get the angle beneath, they can stop the plant. They're going for it. They're not quite getting it. No! Just a second too late! Shin almost with the play of the game. Unfortunately has to sit, wait, and rotate all the way back round. It's a 3 versus 3. But it's a little bit of a hot property now. 30 seconds on the board and bullets peppered from either side. The C4 could have been monumental too, but they haven't quite caught it just yet. They have caught the man that was holding it though, as Lusty shut off the angle from the opposite side. 20 seconds. And one less player to deal with. A 3 versus 1. Shin almost had the moment that brought this game into their favor. Is running out of time to bring this round down and bring this locked up for FAV. And well, with that 7 seconds mark being passed, it is purely just exit fragging at this moment. Goes for the Deeg. Well, they trade at least.
Gets it.
Gets it.
This is the same angle that he just created to try and stop that diffuser from going through. Now, if you're having a red ping, Fluke, and you spray your entire magazine without hitting it, I would halfway through be considering to aim down just a little bit, because you're having that red ping, you know exactly where he is. He is not moving. And it cost him the round there. Just a small mistake, just like that. It's going to be putting that clock into the favor of the attackers, where they just have to hold you off. You need to come back to site. And suddenly they have it. Suddenly they manage to find themselves that 5th round. And if Fnatic are going to be able to continue this, we might be going to bar now, as we see a very similar setup coming through. Not with the Goya though, but it might be not 6 picked in either. So less shields on the likes of FAV now. How will this translate to Fnatic's form of success? Are they going to be able to attack with a better and more successful fashion now? Now there's 1 shield less they have to worry about.
Fnatic have to do something here, because obviously they were completely stumped last time they approached onto this. Out of all the rounds and all the times we've seen these two teams butt heads, their Fnatic attack was one of the weakest out of both teams, because I guess on the breath of it, even we were surprised to see so many shields and so much lane across the middle of this map, and there wasn't quite the response you maybe expected or hoped, but lessons learned. You move and you try and remove all of the defenders from those holes that they make. Slight different play, as you commented, obviously way less shields and a slight adaptation to something more usually seen, and I guess it's one of those, okay, we've played this scrap, we've played the pocket, and it's worked quite well, so let's try and double down on something else, and maybe this will throw Fnatic off their approach.
He will toss them off. Just trying to see how this push will be happening now. As Typon is aggressively inside the piano. Quick opening up the hatches to come through. I'm just waiting to see how Fnatic is going to decide to take control of piano, because piano is of course a very important point of attack here. You need that control first, then you work yourself into freezer or onto the bomb site directly, depending on what you want, depending on where the opponents are. and continuing from there. But this attack doesn't start without piano control. There's nothing you can do without it.
Well, here comes a little bit more pressure from the early doors and early drones of Fnatic. They're actually able to force Afro away from New Balkan. Well, this was a player where he dug in before and got the opener across the window last time, and they don't want to suffer the same consequence here. Yes, it was picked up very quickly afterwards, but it was a little bit of an unnecessary slip and slide of someone getting straight past your holds and straight into the man of them still on a window. Stigs is looking to lock down from the skylight. They're just going to give the intel of where the Jaeger is, and the pre-fires come against the drone, sure, but again, it forces them further and further back. Forces a little bit more space into the control of Fnatic. It has bit them before if they lose attention, but that's why you bring the Nomad. So you have a bit more of a consistent control against a team like FAV, who are otherwise quite mobile on those stair sets.
All right. Here we have it, 1 minute. No control anymore in Pixel, but the shield is still up. More magnets are being deployed. Fnatic need to set themselves up now. There is not much time left. And there's even more projectiles are being caught. There was a little bit of pressure from the wide stairs to go through, but as they go off, Shin rotates back up. Afra now under heavy gunfire, tries to rotate around, takes a bit of damage, I believe, from the skylight dive, so they know exactly where he is. He misses the swing, won't be taken out, but the instant refrag is there as number 2 swings around the corner with the Alda. Able to pick up on that kill. Leaves us with 30 seconds left, and a frag grenade of Fnatic that needs to make the dream happen, but it will fail as Typhon takes Tex out. It's again the favor here for FAV as they're looking to draw things back up, bring it to a 5-on-5 situation. One of the players is outside. That means they know it's going to be a 2-on-2 situation or a 2-on-3 situation on the site right now. The question is, are they going to be able to land these kills? It doesn't seem to be the case though, as there's only 5 seconds left and Lusty is still blocked up by the smoke. The plant needs to happen. Styx is getting himself into the position at the last very second he could possibly do it, but his cover falls, and so will he. It is FAV that draw things back up. We're on 5-5, and this is going to be a very close game.
All the way to the wire seems to be the method here between FAV and Fnatic, and I guess you kind of wanted it. They're both obviously unbeaten so far in the opener, both on the 2-0 split, and sure, they're two teams that weren't quite living up to, well, okay, Fnatic weren't quite living up to expectation. FAV, which was generally a bigger introduction, they had these moments and had expectations, but at the major couldn't quite make their mark as truly as they did throughout moments of the season. Here, though, both of them, they're giving it everything. They're pushing so aggro, and, well, the FAV are looking to at least equal their record of 3-2 split from the previous phases, and at the same time, Fnatic are looking to remark themselves on the top board here, and they've got to try and pull something out, because if this round goes the way it did before and FAV find themselves one step away from locking it off, who knows if that Valkyrie above with the MPX might find a little bit more success the second time round in Kitchen.
Kitchen seems to be the pain point for both these teams. FAV knowing that if they win this one, they will have to go back there, but this time with less pressure on themselves, considering they are on that match point. And you could argue it might be more pressure because you're the ones that have to lock it out, but the others are facing elimination from said matchup. So it's a, you know, it's a difficult one to call. Who do you think has less pressure when you reach match point? Like the team you're up against that is currently like not on the match point, or the team that just reached it?
I guess I think both teams have obviously pressure. I think that it depends on the mentality of teams. I know that some teams, they thrive on the ability of going, we just got one with their one more, let's get it. Some teams, they try and, you know, they'll let it get to them a little bit. They'll get a bit loose, get a bit suffer, and it's the pressure of when you're a foot down, who can step up? Because some teams, it pushes them further than they've ever been pushed before. It's an impossible question to answer, is my non-answer here. It really depends on the teams. I'm sure if you ask them, even the players would give individual answers.
Every player is a different one, and everybody will experience the pressure in different ways. Some might like to, well, fight back from an off situation, and some would prefer to have that bit of security, knowing that if you mess up, you'd still have overtime to look out to. But Fnatic, are looking to be the ones that reach that 6 mark first. The ever so important one. Unless you're Chaos Esports, then you'd rather not have that 6. Because it always ends up with another 6 right behind it. But that's a beautiful shot.
That's a beautiful kill. And that's yet again Afro striking from these unexpected positions where I've said it before and I've cited it again. He's slipping through the defenses and just taking Fnatic out from situations where they just don't expect it. It's a big loss as they look towards a buck that has been pretty hefty in the amount they've been able to destroy. And look at this. FAV are actually kind of getting a little bit aggro here on White Stairs. Pulse thought better of it at first, but is now doubling up, and Stigs could be caught here. They look away as the momentum starts to shift, pre-firing and peppering towards the top of the stair set, but this is all precious seconds, and this could be maybe the 4th or 5th round where it ends on time if they don't start to do something sooner rather than later. And, well, that is going to be to swap themselves around, flip underneath White Stairs and go for the aggro from below.
Mag, of course, already standing by in VIP. Stigs wants to join him in the Battle of White Stairs. We'll be facing Afro. Very scary man on that Valk. Hitting some nasty shots with the MPX so far, and there we have it. He's being challenged right now, but the damage being done on Stigs, but the kill doesn't come down quite yet, as the planter actually does. 45 seconds thus will be on the clock right after that, as C4 will follow up. So will number 2. It's a 2 and 5 situation after 2 and 5 retake. You should be expecting this to go Fnatic's way, but you have to be careful though, because, well, I mean, not Fnatic's way, I mean FAV's way, but you have to be careful because Fnatic, they have some good positions, but not if Afro comes down like that. Lusty manages to pick up one. Is he going to be able to pick up more? No, he will not. It's FAV to go down with that defuse, and thus they will be onto the 6 mark first. They will be on match point right now. They might shut down Fnatic and take the sole lead in the league.
Wow. Fnatic, they couldn't quite get the diffuser down their first time round into this site, and the second time they did, but unfortunately it came just as FAV realized what was going on, cracked the first of the C4 kill, and then from then on things started to fall apart. A fantastic read there from Afro to head underneath and get the person that was watching from below, and I think if anything kind of sums up how this game's gone, for me it's in a way the vertical control that FAV has been generally the ones that they've been one-upping them on. They've been able to take rounds on their attacks via vertical control. Their 2 did boil down to these angles and these executions where they had these they had the ideas watched. Here as well, we see it. We see the retake come from underneath. We see Afro doing work on the top floor and the bottom floor. It's just a consistency of their intel and ideas around the map. And, you know, last time we were here on a FAV defense, if a Valkyrie had been able to get a little bit more accuracy, it would have been another vertical round that went in their favor. And Fnatic, they had no presence. Otherwise, they were all entirely dug in on this bakery side. And you wonder if this is something where it's just FAV being a little bit more advantageous.
Let's see if they're going to be able to close it out this time around. FAV in the advantage, FAV in the driver's seat, and Fnatic is trailing behind. They managed to get 2 wins already, so Fnatic is definitely on the rise compared to last season, but this is the time where they have to show that they can bounce back from these unfortunate situations where they find themselves a round down on match point. Previous stage, they weren't able to fix those mistakes. Can they do it now? Can they persevere? Are they going to be able to get this round in? Pushes to OT. Let us go to the full 15 rounds to see who will be the rightful winner of this match, because right now it is too close to call. I might say FAV is just a little bit better than Fnatic at this moment in time. They might just swap around in this round completely itself.
Well, it's a little bit of silence and a little bit of a wait and a lot of a spread of Fnatic. I'm going to talk about them going all aggro fully into Bakery last time. Well, this is the opposite. They're droning out every section and silo of this map, and they're making sure they're not taken by surprise again. I think even they realize how close it came to the wire last time round, and they had a little bit of a breath of luck. If they want to lock it down, it's going to take the skill we know they're capable of alongside the intel, and, well, maybe a little bit more luck doesn't hurt anybody. They've spent themselves steadily cleaning across the top floor now, and the drone's still busy their way underneath the feet of the Ashe. As Zafir crosses across the top two, they know what they want to lock down, and that is the movement and momentum that FAV have been able to build up by kind of freewheeling themselves around the different angles of this map. Slow and steady is the path of the course, but will it suffer, and will this be another round that ends to time?
That is the question. 1 minute and 30 seconds left, and right now, first floor, or second floor actually, is slowly falling into control of the likes of Fnatic. But as I say, that chloroform will be popping a C4, and that is going to be starting things off. Tax will go down, and that is your buck as well. So a lot of the verticality is no longer able to be used, and you'll have to rely on the impacts now on Stegs and the breaching rounds onto Lusty if you want to open up these long angles from above. Another C4 going off, or was that a breaching round? Looks like a breaching round, considering that the... yeah, that's a breaching round. Okay, no worries. It was just a breaching round, not a
False
C4,
alarm.
actually.
False alarm, breaching round,
There's
don't
still a
worry about
C4
it.
available,
Yep.
you know, chloroform might be able to use that. But yeah, Fnatic with 45 seconds. They have the top floor control, just not the angles they would like to have.
Yeah, now we get to see, obviously, if they can try and make something of it. With 40 seconds left, they have the time to start their execute. As we've seen on this site every single time, the plant has come from the dying 20 seconds. There's a lot of build-up you have to do before you can actually get the control and solidity that you have. And, well, this is a similar situation to how we've seen FAV push on this before with success. But look at what's still on the board, and look at the preemptive smoke there that catches Stiggs deep as he breathes and puts himself exceptionally low. One more smoke is going to cost him quite heavily, but it's the close quarter shotgun that gets the triple for chloroform, puts it to a 4 versus 2, 3 versus 2, but with the same amount of seconds left on the board, and the diffuser in the hands. FAV, you find your third win.
FAV is staying undefeated here as they take down Fnatic with a 7-5 scoreline. Absolutely deserved. And that last defense showed for it. Just picking up the buck was probably the best find you could get in that moment in time with that C4. As they managed to shut down any further opening from that ceiling, making sure that these 4 members of Fnatic that were still left standing were not able to find any more kills. Behind the bomb chassis, for example, behind the bunker, behind the kitchen equipment, they could freely move, and it showed, and it was a well-deserved win.
Yeah, everything kind of fell into the favor there for FAV, as we saw on their attacks. They were close at moments, but otherwise their takes when they had that balance of control were pitch perfect. You swap over to their defenses when they are starting with the control, and from the creativity of the opening shields across bar to the almost miss of the Valkyrie, which could have locked that game off a little bit earlier. You got to give credit to how they played today, and they've really defined themselves as a team that's equaled their record before. We'll head over to the analysts as they break down some of the bits and bobs that we saw throughout the game, and we will be back very soon.
Many bits and bobs indeed after this match, and honestly,